Happy Friday. Happy Friday. All right, let's see. Let's wait for some people to come on. Hey, babe. Okay, well, there you are. Let me see.
Hi. You look so pretty, girl. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It's so good to see you.
Same here. I'm ready. Happy.
Por aquí tengo. I have the.
Oh, I was going to say, well, I have water too.
Well, of course, you are the dietitian here, the nutritionist.
We need to keep it balanced, some wine, some water. Stay hydrated.
So first, can you hear me and see me well? Everything good?
Yeah, everything good on my end. How about you? Good?
Yeah, I can see you perfectly. All right. So what do you think? Should we wait for a few people to join?
We can wait a few minutes. Let me see. I do see some people. Hi, that's been logging in. Hey there. Hi, Anna. I hope you have your wine in hand too. I know you're one of my girls with the wine.
So while people come on, just let me ask you, how have you been? How is the quarantine treating you?
It's been a little bit crazy. If there's any moms here, I think they probably can relate, like between working full time and taking care of your little ones and balancing the home and all that. It's been a little bit challenging, but we're managing. How about you?
I can imagine. She has the wine. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't have kids, but it's been crazy. I think it's been crazy for everyone. But I can understand that. Like, I've heard from a lot of people that have kids and they're going crazy with the school and everything else.
I mean, everyone is affected differently, even if you don't have any kids. There's people that they were going to work and now they have like everything shift and now they're at home. I think everyone's been affected by this quarantine somehow.
I agree. And especially the reason why we're here today and we need some wine to be able to talk about this because it's a topic that is in a lot of people's mind. Even though obviously the main topic in people's mind is the quarantine and the coronavirus and staying, safe. The truth is that a lot of people, especially us women, moms too, are feeling a lot of anxiety and pressure too, to stay active, to kind of like stay motivated, because there's so much going on. And this is something that I felt, and also I keep hearing and reading about all over, people being super anxious, people not feeling motivated to work out or to move or to do anything. Like really people feel like this heavy thing on their shoulders where, mostly you want to just like lay around and, just trying to cope with everything that's going on emotionally and mentally. And so, I mean, have you felt a little bit of that?
I mean, yes, I can tell, like, just being at home, sometimes you even, like, I'm happy today I got able to kind of, like, put some makeup on and get my hair done. Sometimes when you're at home, you kind of, like, you lose track of that, of, like, yourself. So self-care is also important. And I think running now into the topic, like, exercising and all that is part of also, like, self-care. And I think a lot of people now, like you mentioned, a lot of women, they're kind of, like, trying to get into this health wave because maybe they're realizing they're missing something in terms of like, I don't have time for me, like always like work and kids and this and that. And we sometimes forget about ourselves. So a lot of people, I think they're also this quarantine are taking them not only to be anxious, but also to think more about like themselves and be more self-care, which is something that you also work with.
Yes. Yes. So before we get into the topic, and all of that. Let's introduce yourself, because obviously the reason why I wanted to do this with you is because you are a professional, trained. I know you're a dietitian, nutritionist. What are your titles?
I know people get confused. I'm a registered dietitian. I know many people, sometimes they call themselves nutritionists. Not all nutritionists are dietitians. Let's put it that way. But in terms of my preparation, I'm a dietitian. My name is Darleen Castillo. Nice to meet all of you that I haven't met before. And I'm the owner of Darleen Castillo Nutrition, and I help women and men too to achieve their health goal, whichever just is. It could be health, or just lose weight, or get stronger, or run a marathon. Whatever your health goal is, I help them in a way where they can still incorporate the foods that they like and they love. So it's very different to like all these fat diets that you see where people are kind of like not eating anything at all and just being like, there's like a list of bad foods or good foods. So in my case, I just work individually with what you like to eat. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why also, not only because you're my friend and I love you, but also because I know you are really good at what you do.
Passionate.
Yes, you're super passionate about it. You have a master's in this.
Yes, nutrition, more nutrition.
I saw you going to school while taking care of your kids, so props to you. But not just in education wise, but you also live and breathe all what you do for you, for your kid, for your husband. Your husband is a personal trainer.
Personal trainer, yes, he works with me too. So yeah,
you are all about nutrition and exercise and staying healthy. So, not only because you're my friend, but also because I know, how you are, how professional you are, and how much you care about this stuff. How much you care about this stuff, that I think you're, bringing this point of view and some tips, I think is very valuable for people. And even though I think that there's a lot of articles out there and people talking about, these things, I think there's always room for more. I think there's never enough. Not only information, but also encouragement, positive encouragement. So I wanted to bring you because of all of those reasons.
Thank you for inviting me and having me here. So thank you. I'm very honored.
All right. So, so the question why we're here today is because a lot of people, including myself, are asking this: how do I stay motivated to stay active during this quarantine? Because it's hard. Motivation, I have to say for myself, motivation is something that I think a lot of people struggle no matter when, the circumstances. I've struggled with motivation, I think, my whole life when it comes to staying active and working out and all of that. Just because I didn't grow up with those habits, I had to, kind of like make those habits later in life. So motivation is something that sometimes, every now and then you have to kind of like look for something that inspire you, to kind of like keep you moving forward. So even though it's something that happens in life, especially during the quarantine, because there's so many other things going on, it's hard sometimes to stay motivated.
And I think you mentioned one point, like, sometimes we look inspiration, motivation outside, like maybe, I don't know, social media, or we're looking at, I don't know, internet, and that might help with like being inspired, let's say, somehow. But in the end, motivation has to come from you. And in reality, one of the things that I usually talk with my cheers. Wait. Cheers. One thing that I usually tell my clients is that it has to come from you, because you have to know why. Why do you want to do this? You want to start exercising because sometimes they say, oh, well, I want to lose weight, which, don't get me wrong, that's great. You want to lose weight, that's perfect. But is that a reason that's big enough that's going to keep you motivated? Probably not, because if you want to lose weight, weight is just a number in the scale that doesn't define you, that doesn't define who you are as a person. So usually there's a bigger reason behind all that of why people want to exercise or be healthier. So you have to get to your why. For some people, it could be, I want to work out because I want to be healthier. I want to improve my blood pressure. I want to improve my sugars levels. Other people will be like, maybe I want to exercise so I can have energy to play with my kids and play around and keep up with them. So whichever your answer to that question is, that's where your motivation is going to come from. And it has to be big enough and strong enough that whenever you're in bed and you're like, today's not a good day, I don't feel like working out, I don't feel like doing anything. When you think of that why you started, it's gonna just kind of like, okay, let's get at it, because I want to achieve that goal or do that thing that it's really important for me in my heart. So that's one of the things that could help you with motivation. I have more things.
I like that you say that, because it's true. I think for me, for example, I started 2 years ago to intentionally, understanding that I wanted to get better health-wise. I wanted to get healthier, more energetic, being able to, enjoy the things that I like to do with energy and all of that. And obviously, one of those things was weight loss, and is weight loss. But it's not the only thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's one of the things of being healthy, one of the factors, but it's not the only factor. So, for example, sometimes now at times where things get maybe rough, and it's because we go through things, right? Not only outside, like in the situation right now, but emotional things that happen. Yeah. And sometimes you get a little stuck in one of the areas, but you don't necessarily have to get stuck in all of them. Like, for example, for me, especially at the beginning of this quarantine, it was a little hard because, it was so much going on. You don't know you don't have all the information. It's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. Mm-hmm. And all of that. I wasn't very active. So I was, not doing a lot at all the first few weeks. And I was like, okay, I cannot right now focus on like this crazy, goals or just in like losing weight, because now I need to get a little bit more back to the basics to at least stay active, to at least keep working on the other things, even if maybe weight loss is not, going as,
mm-hmm.
I used to do before, but at least, for example, I can do push-ups now. I can, yes. Run 6 miles, so it's not that way. You don't feel stuck like in everything.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that you still can focus on, right?
Yeah, I like what you mentioned, because that's another thing that I work with my clients. Is also like the weight is just, it's the number. When you measure progress, there's so much stuff that you can measure, like how you're sleeping, how your strength is improving, how do you feel, how your clothes are fitting. Like you mentioned, before you were not able to do push-ups and now you can. Before you were eating out all the time, now you're cooking at home. Like there's so many different measurements of progress. And you have to focus on those ones that are like positive and are going to keep you going. And that's, I think, some people, they get stuck maybe thinking about the negative or the scale, that they lose motivation. And I like what you mentioned, that when all this happened, that you lost track, you started thinking small, because that's another recommendation that I do when things are getting difficult and you want to start working out. Start with small, achievable goals. If right now you have never exercised, maybe something that's realistic, instead of going 7 days a week for 1 hour doing these extreme videos, maybe you can start with 2 days a week, 15 to 20 minutes, see what you can. And then when you do that 1 to 2 days, then at least you feel like you have achieved something, and then you can keep adding days or time, whatever is important for you.
Yes.
Another thing that you mentioned that I think is really important also with the motivation is the support part. I know sometimes you have your working out partner and your partner in life who supports you in your goals, but having someone that could keep you accountable, it could be your partner, it could be a friend. Right now I'm seeing a lot of people who are doing virtual workouts through Zoom, which I think that helps a lot with accountability. Also, even coaches, like right now I'm trying to keep my clients accountable, like, hey, how's your workout going? Do you need a live workout? So you need to find something that could give you additional support too. That definitely helps with like staying motivated and staying on track with your goals.
Yeah, and that's what I got this the other day, not long ago, a few days ago. I got a Fitbit
Yeah.
because I was, that's the thing. Like when you really want something, you have to look for whatever, will help you get there, right? I mean, like you said, a partner, classes online, hiring, a coach or nutritionist, something when you feel it. You feel it sometimes like I cannot do this by myself. Right now, I'm in a position that it's really hard for me to get all this, energy myself to get me moving. Like I need someone to kind of like be that, person who pushes me a little bit to do it. And I mean, now with technology, there's so many tools to do that, right? So I got a Fitbit, and I have a few friends that have sent me like challenges to keep up,
Yeah.
um, the steps during the day, and it's kind of fun. It's also it motivates me because it makes me feel, whoa, these are people that are going through the exact same thing that I'm going through, right? I mean, we are all quarantined, we are all feeling anxious, we are all, and they are doing it.
Competitive Wilmarie goes like, room. I need to win.
I know. I'm like, okay. No, because it feels like, there's people in your same situation and they're doing it, right? And it kind of like helps you stay motivated to do it too, because you feel like you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. And I think like with for some people that might motivate them, other people, they don't like that type of challenge. So everyone has to look what works for them. But also going back to all that like anxiety and all this thing that you're telling me regarding the quarantine, a lot of people are putting that like, why work out now? Like when there's like all this stress where like economy is going down and
Like that's what I'm right now.
yeah, exactly. Why do I have to work out? How do you feel like stress has affected you, like your regular routine? Do you think like this quarantine has affected your regular daily routine?
Yes, definitely. So, right before this quarantine started, I, as you know, was doing a self-imposed challenge to work out in the mornings because I'm not a morning person. And also, I wanted to challenge myself. So we did it. We did 8 weeks working out in the mornings. I was feeling good. I saw progress. It was just something to keep you motivated, to keep you in track, and those things sometimes work for me. So, but then right after we finished that, this whole thing blew up, and so it was kind of like when your routine gets affected because the gyms closed. Work became remote, so it's not like you have the same routine that you had before. So it definitely started to affect me in my daily routine. At the beginning, like I said, the first week or two, I wasn't feeling very energetic or motivated to do anything, and then I started feeling like my back hurting and my mood, and my mood kind of like down a little bit and all of that. And so when I started moving and even going on walks or hikes, something, I could see so clearly how not magical, right? But there was definitely an improvement on my mood and my energy. And we're talking about weeks, right? And we're not talking even like months.
A year, month, yeah.
That I felt the difference in just a few weeks. So yeah, when you ask me, so why is it important to work during this time? For me, in my experience, is because it just helped me to feel a little bit better. It does, like my mood and my energy. I feel like if I just don't move at all, I start to kind of like slowly declining emotionally and mentally.
And all the things which is like not funny, but like all the things that you mentioned you experienced, it's backed up by science. Like stress, it's just not damaging ourselves like emotionally, but also physically. Like it has so many, that could be like another life or another day, because it can affect your system in so many ways, stress. But to summarize, it can make you gain weight. It can make you feel hungry when you're not. So you see a lot of people that are stressed and they're just kind of like not leaving the pantry and they don't know how to control that. So stress definitely is not good. But then exercise, on the other hand, is the best medicine right now that you can use to manage the stress, because exercise not only, like you mentioned, disconnect you and make you feel better. And probably the reason why you're feeling better is because when you exercise, you release these hormones that are called endorphins, and those are the hormones that make you feel good. So after exercising, you release those hormones that make you feel better, makes you feel good. So it helps with mood, helps with like a therapy for stress management. And also, it helps you if your goal is either weight management or weight loss. You can, in addition, burn some additional calories for like your wine, wink, wink, or anything treats that you want to eat. So it's definitely something positive. And for me, I love to exercise. In my case, I've been doing it since I was a little girl in a different way. Like I was dancing, and then I danced all my life, and then I discovered the gym, and I started liking lifting weights for no reason. But now it's part of me. But also it's my time to disconnect from reality, from problems, from the world. It's just my time to kind of like just not think about anything. And I don't know, it's just amazing. It's like a therapy.
It is. But this is the thing, at least for me, and I know for a lot of people I talk to or I read what they post about this topic, when you are in that situation where you're like, feel down and without energy and not motivated, and you think like the last thing you want to do is working out, it's really hard to find or to remember that working out actually make you feel better. It's hard because at that moment you cannot remember, you cannot see that. You're so consumed, by all the emotions and things going on through your head that it's kind of like hard to remember, like, actually, if I start doing this, it will help me feel a little bit better. And that when we are in that situation, when it's hard to remember and hard to find that, that energy to take the first step, I think one of the things that factors in is feeling this pressure. If you're sitting down, scrolling through social media, reading different articles, listening to different opinions, I feel like you start feeling this pressure of like, oh, I have to do something. I have to be productive. What am I? And then you start judging yourself, right? And that's not going to get you out of the couch, right? You're going to feel worse.
Yeah.
Because now you're feeling like, I'm being pressured, by all this, whatever you're watching or listening to. And so the motivation is not going to come out of guilt, right? Because you feel guilty or you feel pressure, that's not going to make you move. So one of the things I think has helped me, and I read people that have helped them too, it's kind of like shutting those voices, maybe taking a break from social media or for certain, don't get out of that tunnel, that information that is not necessarily helpful, and start thinking about you, right? Like, what is it that you want and why you want it? Not because there's pressure outside, not because you feel guilty that you're not doing anything, but because you really want to feel better. You want to feel good. You want to feel energized. I mean, I don't know anybody that don't want to feel good and energized, right? I mean, one thing is that it's hard maybe to do it, but deep inside we all want to. We all want to feel good and energized, right? To do things. So I think it's important to kind of like don't focus so much in all of that noise and start focusing on, why do I need this? Why do I actually want it? Do I want it? Why? Right? Instead of feeling that pressure that is not helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you are someone who's just starting to work out. Like you mentioned, try to avoid things in social media that may put like a lot of pressure on you. Like, don't start with like all this like super difficult workouts. It could be as easy as just walking. The other day, I was doing a step challenge with my group. And so we were at first working out a track that's nearby, but then it closed down. So we're limited to only our home, which it's fine because I understand. But we were doing the step challenge, and I was just like, how am I going to get these steps done? So I would just literally walking around my home like a crazy person, doing circles in my kitchen island, and my kid was looking at me like there was something wrong with me. But I mean, in the end, I was moving and I met the step goal that I had to for the day. And sometimes it doesn't have to be that difficult. You know, sometimes you can just start with small things, incorporating just kind of like walking inside your home or looking for beginner workouts instead of kind of like trying the really difficult ones. And that might help with that motivation too, without not putting like any pressure, like you mentioned, because that's not gonna make you feel any better. Right now, there's enough pressure outside. You don't need to put more pressure on yourself.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, and that's why, you know, during this quarantine, I've been like, okay, what do I need? What do I want? I was feeling bad. I was like laying around, feeling like, oh my God, what's going on? So much, you know, news going around. And then I'm like, okay, I want to feel energized because this is going to end at some point. I mean, it might last for a little bit based on what we see in the news, but it's gonna end at some point, and we are going to have to go back there, you know, to work, to live, and we need that energy, right? We need to be able to get back at it once everything, you know, goes back to normal. And so for me, that's what has helped me to go back to, you know, staying active and working out. Is remembering this is not just for now. You know, this is something that I want to carry after the quarantine, because I'm gonna need it after the quarantine. Once we are back to all of our roles and not running around to jobs and this and that, you're gonna need that energy, right?
Yes, and especially you mentioned a very important point that when you're setting up routines and when you're like when you want to do a change, it helps if you have a plan. So we say like, oh, like, well, I have a routine to kind of like be accountable for my workout. But in the end, to make a change, let's say now we're using the example of the exercise, you need to keep with that change. Science says from 60 to 90 days at least to make it a habit. So when people say, oh, I'm going to try this, and then they give up, it's just, it takes time because it's a process. You're learning is like learning something completely new where you're getting used to, and what's going to get you become part of your life is repetition, being consistent, and then eventually it's going to be like a second nature. But that's another reason why why you started or why you're doing this has to be strong enough, and not only the scale. Because the days that you're doing everything right, you're exercising, you're trying to eat right, you're trying to do everything, but then the scale doesn't move, what happens with your motivation? It's going to go down. So that's why your why has to be bigger than just the number on the scale. And like you mentioned, like setting is gonna take time. So be prepared that this is gonna be a journey. It's not gonna be something that's gonna happen overnight. And you're also gonna discover other things about yourself that you're gonna learn to work with or learn through this process. That's gonna help you eventually maintain the progress that you have achieved in that period.
Right. And also being aware of how you are behaving, right? Not to judge yourself, not to make you feel bad, not to compare yourself to others and how perfectly others are going through this quarantine and you're not. Not for that, but to be aware, be able to know how you're reacting to certain things, because you can start seeing patterns. Like, for example, growing up, healthy eating habits was not a thing that I grew up, right? It's something that I learned with time. And I'm still learning, obviously, because I think for people that, you know, that's a forever journey, right? If it's something that is, you know, hard for you, or you're not, you know, you didn't grow up with. And so with time, noticing my patterns and how I react. For example, at the beginning of the quarantine, when I wasn't moving much and whatever, I started like craving like a lot of ice cream and popcorn, and I would go and snack on those things, and which is fine. I mean, sometimes you get ice cream and popcorn. That's delicious. I do it.
Oh yeah, totally.
But what I'm saying is that at that moment, I know it wasn't because, oh, I just want to eat this. It was because it was more like emotional, or a way for me to, like, you know, because I was nervous, you know, to grab something. But I know that is something that I do based on my observations, right, for the last few years. And so when you start looking at yourself and how you behave and the patterns that you see repeating, again, not to judge yourself, but to kind of like be able to recognize it when it happens again. And once you recognize it, when you start to recognizing those patterns faster, you can be like, oh, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm feeling this way. And I know last time when I started doing this, I felt better, right? And so the more that happens, the more, I guess it becomes a little bit more natural or easier to do the next time.
Yeah. I was listening to you, but I was scrolling because I saw someone ask a question similar to what you were saying, like about this anxiety, how you can. She was asking in terms of like exercise that you can do, but I don't think exercise. There's no exercise for. Okay, so exercise can help you reduce stress, but if you're feeling anxious or that feeling that you were saying, like sometimes you're just craving things and you don't know where is this coming from right now, it might be because of the stress and the anxiety from the quarantine, and you just feel like the urge of going to the pantry and look for stuff, and usually you're craving like sweets and things that are usually high in calorie. And that's where tuning to your hunger cues is very, very important. When you have that craving, you have to stop and think, is this really hunger? When was my last meal? Like, is it really hunger? If you're craving that, I don't know, let's put the example of the popcorn. Do I really want a popcorn, or can I eat an apple? If you were like, oh, no, I don't want an apple. Maybe you're not that hungry. Maybe you're just craving the food, which is totally fine. But then you have to, like you mentioned, go back and think, why am I craving this food? Or what's happening? Maybe it's because the person didn't eat well during the day. Maybe that person is lacking calories, and maybe they're just hungry and they're just grabbing the first thing that they see. But maybe there's something else emotional that they have to work on that is triggering those decisions. In this case, maybe the same stress, anxiety from the quarantine. So in that case, I always encourage my clients to kind of like always tune to your hunger cues. Think of if it's a truly hunger, if it's you're just craving chocolate, go for it. Just have a small portion, eat it, and go on with your day. There's nothing wrong with like eating popcorn, like you mentioned, ice cream. I think there's place for all types of food during your day, during your life. It's just like with moderation, you know. And I'm not against any type of food. Let's put it that way. But when you notice it's a pattern and you're always going for those type of foods, you know, in the end, it might affect your health. So it's always good to check in with yourself, like you mentioned, and look where this desire is coming from.
Yeah. And the important thing, I wanted to repeat it again, is to look at those behaviors from a place of kindness and understanding and, you know, loving, because you're just human, right? I mean, if you know somebody that is going through something, you wouldn't be cruel to that person, right? You wouldn't judge that person. You would be, you know, trying to understand, trying to love that person, trying to help her. So same thing. I think, you know, it's important to look at these things and the patterns and the behaviors that we, you know, usually fall into because of different situations, but not to judge ourselves, not to think of ourselves, you know, in a negative, from a negative light, but to understand ourselves better and help us feel better. Because again, at the end of the day, we all want to feel good and we all want to feel energized. I mean, I think that's just, everybody wants to feel that way. And so because you love yourself and you want to feel that way, you want to have the energy to do the things that you love, you look at yourself and at your patterns and all of that, just to help you, to give you information of, you know, what do you need to do next? Not to judge yourself, not to feel, you know, that you're not doing it right, or anything like that. That's something that I like to emphasize, because I mean, for experience and also people that I know, it's something that sometimes it's like, oh, I failed again, you know, or oh, see, this is what I always do. And instead of seeing it that way, it's like, I'm doing this again.
you self-sabotage your progress because you're focusing on the maybe what you failed or didn't do based on your expectations, but you forget what you achieved before, all the changes that you have done to get where you're at now and how long it took you there. And sometimes we're not, like you mentioned, not kind to yourself. And also you just saying stuff to yourself that you will never say to a friend or a family or something. So it's kind of like, why are you treating yourself like this when if you think of the statement that you just said to yourself, you will never say that to a friend. So we have to be kind to ourselves too.
Yes. Yeah. I think I mean, I always love to emphasize on that. I'm all about self-love and self-acceptance and, body positive and all
the good stuff.
all the good stuff, all the good vibes. And I like to emphasize because it's like, no, you wouldn't do that to your best friend. You wouldn't say that to your best friend. You wouldn't think that way of your best friend. You have to be kind to yourself, and you have to look at the things that you do and your behaviors as just information to help you get whatever you want to go. And just ask yourself questions and be curious about why you do the things you do or why you feel the way you feel, and give yourself space to feel those things. Sometimes you want to just lay on the couch for an evening and watch TV and have some ice cream and just don't think about it.
Watch Netflix, just Netflix and chill.
Yes. And that's important too. You have to listen to your body, but at the same time, not just letting it do what it does, but listening to it in order to understand yourself better and know what are the things that you can do to help yourself feel better. Because at the end of the day, it's for you. You are the one who wants to feel good, and you are the one that can make that happen. Nobody else can make you feel anything unless you allow them to, right? So it's more about kind of like tuning in instead of like I was saying before, instead of listening to the outside voices and pressures and, oh, you have to be doing this, or, you're not being productive, or, all those judgments. Instead of listening to that, tuning in and be like, okay, I want to feel this way. What am I doing? Okay, why am I doing this? What do I want to do? How do I want to feel? Right? Because then all of those questions are more because of, your reasons, not anybody else's. And I think that makes a huge difference when it comes to motivation, right? To me, like something external, like in terms of, pressure, or you should be looking this way, you should be wearing this thing, that doesn't motivate me. That makes me feel worse.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So what actually motivates me, it's, being able to see how I can go from A to B, whatever that is.
The best comparison, you should never compare yourself to anyone else. The best comparison is with yourself, where you were, where you want to be, and where you are now. So, yes.
So, what else? Best routines. Do you want to talk about some best routine to start out? If you kind of like, I don't know, actually, I talked to a person not long ago that she was like, I haven't worked out during this whole quarantine at all. And, I was like, don't feel bad. Like, you're not the only one. But some people, they say that and then they say, but I want to. I haven't, but I want to. I feel like I don't know where to start. So what do you think are some of the things that we can do to when we feel like that, when we don't feel motivated or energized to do it? We know inside that we want to, we just don't know where to start.
Well, in terms of like, for example, this person that you mentioned that you want to, but you do not know where to start, you have to look at your day, especially because now quarantine has our schedules all upside down, and kind of like see what are your priorities of the day. You have to work, you need to cook, and if you have kids, you have to take care of your kids. So now if you want to work out, you need to add that to your priority list, and you need to schedule the time and kind of like see when it's best for you. Some people prefer morning workouts. Some people prefer afternoon workouts. For me, that I have a kid, it's easier to do an afternoon workout because I bring him in and I let him run, and he gets tired and he does the workout with us. So it's just easier to manage. But for some people, it might be better to do the workout at the beginning of the morning and just get out of the day and move on with work and do whatever. So having a plan, something structured, but maybe in writing might help to someone who's figuring out where to put that time to work out or which days to work out. If you're looking for a routine to start, please, if you haven't done any exercise, don't go straight to CrossFit, weightlifting, or Olympic lifting. We want to avoid any type of injuries right now. We don't want anyone, right, going to the hospital with all this craziness that's happening. So know where you're at.
If you have coronavirus, you don't want to be in a hospital right now.
Exactly.
Exactly. You have to be first. Yeah.
Exactly. Unless there's a real reason that you have to go to the hospital, we don't want you there. So, see what your level, like what we say, like fitness level is, and look something that's achievable for you. Don't start with something that's too hardcore, even though they might say, "Oh, this is the best exercise to lose weight." But I mean, if it's something that you have never done, burpees or I don't know. Jumping jacks or push-ups, don't do it. Just maybe, like you mentioned, start with something small, like running in place or doing something simple. Oh my gosh, I'm really...
You did a workout on YouTube that was so much pain for like 3 days.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, so sometimes it's good to challenge ourselves, but also we have to kind of like make that balance of between challenging ourselves and seeing something that maybe it's too difficult. So, and second,
and especially because it has happened to me where you try to go from 0 to 100, and that actually make you like not want to do it again.
Yes, it's kind of like, why am I torturing myself like this?
Yeah, and especially you know how I am. I'm all about like be happy, enjoy life.
And then you're like,
and then it's like this is not enjoyable at all. But it's because you know you're just pushing yourself maybe too much too quickly. And that, you know, make you feel like, oh, this is too impossible. This is too hard, you know, instead of maybe just go for a walk, you know, start with a mile, then 2 miles, then 3 miles, and like, you know, slowly go into something.
And also, something that's very important, look for something that you like and that you enjoy. Like I mentioned, like before I used to dance when I was younger, so that's something that grew up with me. So I love any aerobic workout or Zumba workouts. Like you're gonna see me there dancing like a crazy person. But for some people, they might not feel like dancing. So maybe for you, it's better to start with something simple that's like, oh, just kind of like regular steps or something easier with weights or body weight. So know your level, know what you like, because if you like something, you're gonna feel that urge of want to keep doing it because it makes you feel better. So,
and I think that's what happened with that external pressure to perform that we were talking about, because you feel that pressure that you're not doing anything, that you should be doing something, and then you want to go and be like the other extreme. So like, okay, I have to be like super productive and like, I don't know, lose 10 pounds in a week or be able to run 3 miles in a month, you know, or something like that. And, you know, that's like, here not doing anything wasn't good, but like trying to do all of that isn't good either. Like none of those extremes are going to be good mentally for you, right? So it has to be something that you find some enjoyment, some level of it. I mean, of course we want to challenge ourselves, and we're going to feel some pain if we haven't you know, moved in a while, but it has to be that slowly building it, so you don't you know, end up being like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And if you do decide challenge yourself, which is okay, like let's say you have never done resistance training and you want to start doing resistance training, and that's perfectly fine, then look for a professional, a personal trainer that can give you that guidance. Right now, there's a lot of online coaching that you can maybe hire, and then they can teach you the proper form so you don't get injured and you can continue working out. So if you do want to challenge yourself, it's okay. It's just don't go on your own doing something completely out there. The other thing that I wanted to mention, like you were asking, okay, so yes, it's important to do something that you love, but if your goal is either weight maintenance or you want to do some weight loss, it's important to include maybe some cardio and some resistance training. This doesn't have to be too difficult. Like cardio could be aerobics, could be walking at a fast pace, could be Zumba, so it could be any dancing classes. So maybe incorporating whatever option that you like, some days of that, and then some resistance training. You don't need heavy weights. You can do body weight if it's something that you're just starting. And even items that you have at home, like your bottled water or your can of beans or something to give you some resistance. It doesn't have to go crazy and buy all this gym equipment. And if not, right now, like Nikki said like YouTube, they have a lot of resources where you can find free classes online for whatever things you like to do. So
yeah, and I know you mentioned before we were talking, and you mentioned some of those YouTube channels. I know at least one before you mentioned the ones that you know of. I know one that's super easy, especially like if you have a Fitbit or your thing is, to get steps and to get moving, especially at the beginning, if you don't feel the energy, at least just, get up on your living room and just, kind of like walk in place or something like that to get your blood, flowing.
Running, yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that I started at the very beginning, 2 years and some months ago when I started to work out and working on losing weight and all of that. These videos were super nice, super helpful for me because they were super easy. It was just kind of like just move, and not only that, but the woman, the trainer that does this video, is very positive, always giving this like very positive, sweet messages, and that helped me. So
encourage you.
Yes, those were Walk at Home with Leslie Sansone, I think is her name.
Walk at Home.
And Walk at Home. And it's so simple. It's so simple. You just literally just get off your couch and
no equipment, right? No equipment needed?
No, nothing. And again, this is like I'm talking about if you're just on the couch and you just don't feel like you cannot find any reason to get up and work out, but you want to do something because you're feeling super down, whatever. Just getting off your couch and just start, moving a little bit and listening to all these like positive, encouraging messages. It can be like a quick start to just at least, start something.
The other channel that I think I was mentioning, one of my clients was the one who told me about this channel. I didn't know. It's called Body Project.
Her father and some mother do them, and they sweat. Yeah, you sweat because you're moving. So you're gonna sweat. You're moving for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So.
So the other channel is Body Projects by Daniel, I think. So the thing about this channel, they have like different levels. So they have like beginners, intermediate, and more advanced. And the people who do the video, it motivates you because it's actually people who are beginning their fitness journey, and you can see they're kind of like having the same struggles as you. Yeah, there's like no fitness models doing like the beginner. Like you see people that are struggling like you are.
They make it look so easy because I've seen some of those where you have these models and they're like,
yeah, like for real, like maybe you got that time just doing that, like right. For sure doing other stuff to look like that. So don't try to like misperceive like people like saying that you were doing that video and you look like that, So I like this about this channel that they have like different levels, so you can just choose based on where you're at. And the other one that I personally use, that is because for me it has a lot of variety, and sometimes I feel like doing Zumba, sometimes I feel like doing a Latin workout, other days I feel like doing weights. It's Pop Sugar Fitness.
Oh yeah, somebody else also mentioned it.
Yes, Pop Sugar. Yes, I love Pop Sugar Fitness. They have yoga, weights, Latin dance, whatever you want. The length, you can also pick the length. There's some that are like 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So depending on your time and how much you're willing to invest in the activity, you can pick and choose. From the videos.
Yeah. No, I think those are very, very useful. I mean, especially again when you don't have like a lot of energy to even think about doing something or where to start. I mean, most of the time you're probably on your computer working or whatever, or on your phone. So it's just, go to YouTube, put something and just try to follow it without having to think too much, and it gets you moving. Because I think, again, I want to emphasize on this. Once, I know it's really hard to remember that it will make you feel better. But once you start moving, even if it's something super simple, you will start to feel better. Like, as long as you keep doing it, just even if it's a little bit every day, you will feel better. Emotionally, mentally, obviously physically, you will feel more energized and all of that. But in these situations that, that we're going through with the quarantine, I think like just having a little bit more clarity and feel a little bit better, a little bit more energized is good enough reason to get myself to, move and exercise.
Definitely.
So, like I said before, not the pressure of I have to look a certain way or I have to be doing certain things, but because, I want to help myself. I cannot help others if I don't help myself. Like, how am I going to go out there and, tell my friends or whatever, oh, don't feel bad, don't feel, if I'm feeling that way too. And, I'm not saying that we're going to feel like 100% great because things are still happening. But when you help yourself to feel better, you can be a little bit more of a help for others too.
Yeah, and also you're gonna be able to handle all the pressure and what's happening even better. If you're feeling good with yourself, like I say, like health is not just physically, it's emotional, it's what you put in your body, it's what you do, it's so much more than that. Some people say like, oh yeah, I'm healthy, I do exercise and I look good. It's way, it's here, it's what you put in your body, it's what you do with your body. It's so much more than that. So
yes.
Yeah.
Because like it's something, Luisa from Happy Hair, hey. Yeah, because for example, there's a lot of pressure on maybe, losing weight or looking certain way. But at the end of the day, you could have that. There will always be something, right? Like we will never achieve that perfect standard that this society, in the media put on us every. It has to be more than just one thing. Yeah, that's cool if you want to look better or have, your clothes fitting better or, that's fine. If that motivates you, sure. But it cannot be just that one thing, right? Because, that won't be enough at the end. It has to be, how you want to feel. What do you want to do? For example, one of the things that I know is one of the main reasons for me to stay healthy and working on being healthier and more active and energized and all of that. Hola, Manuel. Hey, Gustavo. Mira, Gustavo, Calgus77 is the one that does my hair. He's my stylist.
Oh. I bet you're missing him right now.
I know. It's like my hair misses you. I better be first on that list for when this reopens. But what I was saying, yes, it has to be. So one of the things that main reasons why I want to keep doing all of this and waiting for you, wanted to keep doing all these things and stay active and keep working on my energy and all of that is because I want to travel and go on some crazy hikes that I've always dreamed of and, are in my bucket list. And, I don't know how long it might take because of, the situation and, traveling and all of that. But I know that's something that I still want to do. So, it's one motivation. Okay, I want to be energized. I want to be healthy enough to be able to do those things when the time comes. And so, yeah, we cannot just have one reason, I think, especially if it's a reason that, like we were saying, looking a certain way or have a specific weight or something like that, because then if that doesn't happen, then we're like,
you feel like a failure, which it actually is not. And also, exactly. It just reminded me one important point that sometimes people, they're just so focused on that goal of like the way that they just overdo it. Like your body also needs rest. It shouldn't be go, 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 go. And also other people, they're just kind of like working out because they're like so obsessed with this illusion of how they want to look that they deprive their body of nutrients and things they should be eating just because they think that's the way they should eat because that's what they see on the social media promoted as healthy. And it's doing more damage than good, not only for your progress in terms of if we're looking at exercise, but also emotionally and physically. So you want to make sure if you're working out and you're in this journey that you're also feeling your body right to see the changes that you want, either if that's maintaining your weight or either is that losing weight or losing fat, whatever that is, you want to make sure. And even if it's nothing related to weight. Even if you're just doing exercise for fun, you want to stay healthy, you want to make sure you have a variety of nutrients. Right now with the coronavirus, that you're keeping that immune system strong so you don't get sick. So it's way more than that, than just kind of like exercising for weight. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. And because also, especially if losing weight has been like a goal that you've had that maybe has been difficult, or you were struggling with, having that pressure while also having all this other, pressure that is going on right now is too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's too much. And so, but I think if someone feels like that, they might be like, okay, then I'm going to completely stop, ignore that goal right now, completely stop what I was doing to lose weight or whatever, because I don't have, mental
energy
or right. But if instead of that, we can do, we kind of like refocus that in another, I guess, goal that is not the same super big, heavy goal that we had, but it's goals that also will help us stay healthy and feel good and feel better. Then do that, right? Like what I'm trying to say is, like, instead of stopping everything.
Yeah, like I don't have time for this because right now I have to deal with the coronavirus, so I cannot think of myself. But actually, if you do small changes and you can incorporate certain things, it might help you even with what you're trying to prevent and with your goals. So again, what we're saying, small goals, small changes is always better than just kind of like going a complete change to what you're doing, to your routine.
100%.
I don't know if
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I don't know if there's any questions or if you want to say something else.
I did have some questions for you. I'm trying to look at them. Are there any, because I've heard this question, so any certain foods or, certain balance that we should strive for that will, that could help us to be energized to exercise if we're not feeling super motivated, or that help us, with the control the snacking that a lot of people are going through during this quarantine?
Well, even though it sounds a simple question, is very complex because that's depend also in what you wanna follow. Like I believe that you can eat all types of food, and by that I mean like all groups. So if there's someone who follows maybe paleo or keto or some type of different diet, you can also fuel your exercise that way. It's just a more restrictive plan, and there's people who actually work with that. But based on the science, like carbs are super important, not only for your gut health, but also for energize your body for workouts. And unfortunately, with many of the fad diets that are there, they're being like eliminated or
like a bad word, right?
I know. So if we're talking about exercising, I think a balance of different food groups is definitely going to help. Especially if you're going to do strong exercise, make sure you do a snack before, or at least have a meal 2 to 3 hours before you exercise. And depending on the type of exercise that you do and the intensity, if someone who's starting to exercise and they do 15 minutes, you don't need a post-workout snack or protein shake. But if it's someone who's like exercising very consistent for a couple days and they're doing like a strong exercise, maybe they need something stronger. So you want to make sure that what you're putting in your body goes along with your goals. And that looks very different for all my clients, because I also try to include those non-negotiable foods that they like. Some of them, they like wine, others they like chocolate, and we still make those work with whatever their goals are they want to do. So that's
Now, I was going to read. So Miki said, I love stretching, and my partner and I found some couple stretching videos on YouTube. Yes, stretching, actually, doing yoga or stretching exercises, I love that too. Ryan and I try to do it as often as before the gyms closed. we would go to classes. Now we try to do it here and there whenever we find a video or we remember. But stretching is really good too. Manuel said he's using the air fryer like crazy.
And I mean, I knew about the air fryer way long before, but it was on my bucket list, but I never found an excuse to buy it until now. So I have it, and now I'm like making everything in the air fryer. So I understand. So if it's like regular frying, I will be like, beware, because like it has a lot of calories and fat that's added to your total calories. But the air fryer is an excellent tool that I love, because you're cutting down all.
I think we run out of time with the live. So we run out of time. Hey, okay, she's back, so let me add her. So we run out of time. Apparently, you can only do a live for 1 hour.
We were talking too much. We have to keep this to.
I know, but that's what we do. We drink and we talk.
Yeah, sorry.
we went over the hour that the IG live allows you, but it's okay. We can pick up where we left.
Yeah, so I don't know. So I was talking about the air fryer. So yeah, if you're making healthy foods, and again, I don't refer like healthy, unhealthy. Like if you're like frying things that are like have a lot of saturated fat and trans fat, maybe it's not healthy. But if you're doing like veggies on your air fryer or cooking your chicken different in the air fryer, that's fine. That's fine.
Angel said, finishing his steps. I still have hold on. I have 3,000 steps to go today, but I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. This is like, it keeps me like, okay, Wilmarie, come on, don't forget. Whatever works, right?
I don't know if there's any other question regarding today's topic.
I know somebody asked before, like if there was any type of exercise that kind of help with energy or something like that. I think I read.
No, well, I thought it was regarding I don't know, but in terms of energy, again, like because of the science that I told you, how exercise help you release the endorphins that makes you feel good. As long as it's something that you enjoy, makes you feel good, it should have that effect of like energy. It's always very individualized. There's some people that love yoga and they do a yoga or a Pilates class and they're like, oh my gosh, I have so much energy. For me, it's not, I mean, I do yoga here and there, but I don't feel that enery. So I feel that from my Zumba class.
When I drink tequila, I get a lot of energy. That's a different kind of energy. No, but yeah, I listen. So what I noticed myself personally, it's like walking, like for fast walking or hiking or something like that. Like it kind of like when I do it consistently, then I feel like I need it. Like my legs feel like, okay, we need to move. I mean, I don't know if that has to do with energy or just my body.
Maybe something that you enjoy and then you crave whatever activity that you're doing. For me personally, I prefer afternoon routines, but I do notice that when I work out in the morning, I feel energized throughout the day. It's just, I have more energy.
That's something that I discovered too. I've never been a morning person. I shared that in my page, in my post. Excuse me, how I never been a morning person. But when I challenged myself and I did the 8 weeks, morning workout challenge with Ryan, I noticed it. Of course, the first week I was almost dying just because, I was waking up earlier than before. I had to work on my time management to go to bed on time and wake up earlier and all of that. Also exercising, after maybe you haven't done it like that, like a routine like that in a while will hurt at the beginning. But after like the first week or so, I started noticing how much more energy I had throughout the day. Like I was like, okay, I feel like, yes, let's take the stairs. And for me, that was a huge thing because I'm the kind of person that I could spend the whole day on the couch watching Netflix, no problem. Ryan, on the other hand, he needs to move. He's a little bit more, energetic, naturally. But so for me, when I started seeing that I was feeling way more energized and like awake, I was like, this is actually, it feels good. you know. And I would never discover that if I didn't actually push myself to work out in the morning.
Yeah, to try something new. And again, like we were saying, is the difficult things is that start. So once you know why you want to start, why you want to do this, and then you set up your plan, yeah, it's just gonna be easier to kind of like start with whatever activity you're doing.
And to say it again, because I think this has to be said over and over, and I love to say it over and over. That that reason has to come from you. For you and from you. No external pressures, no, comparison or, judgment, but more, how do you want to feel? How do you want to help yourself to feel good, to do the things that you enjoy doing? Why you want to do that? What are the things that actually are helpful for you to do them? Like maybe, like you said, going from 0 to 100 is not helpful. It's actually going to make me feel like I don't want to do this. This is too boring. So, being honest and kind of like treating ourselves like we are our best friend, right? So, what is actually going to be helpful for me? Like, I don't want to put myself in a situation that I would put a friend of mine, right? Like, if a friend of mine is, doesn't have the energy or doesn't have the physical condition to be doing something, I'm not going to go and be like, hey, join this class. Yeah. Go join this CrossFit class, like, do the, like kind of like to, put something that is not realistic, that is not to help that person, right? So why would I do that to myself, right? So you got to put yourself in a situation that will help you feel better and not worse.
Definitely. And like, again, with all this quarantine that we are going through, there's a lot of stress, but there's still that need to connect with yourself, because even when you have like all this in your plate, like if you don't feel good about yourself or what you're doing, it's not going to help with the whole situation. So it's very important to always check in with yourself and do what's best for you, especially if you think that this journey in terms of like a health journey and start working out is going to help you. Then again, revisit why you want to do it, how this is going to help you, and how you can start doing small changes, not going too crazy to achieve that.
Yeah. And maybe one last thing that I think, hold on. I'm going on vacations and I have only ordered Speedo briefs, so I motivate myself to stay fit. I love it. Hey, whatever motivates you. But also I want a picture of Speedo. Hey, and actually that's something similar to what I was going to say, which was maybe something else that I also can help you kind of like find some motivation, is to think about what you want to do once all of this is over, right? I mean, I know I had travel plans and maybe they're postponed now, but I still want to go, even if it's a year from now or 6 months from now. So I want to be energized for that. I want to be, in a physical, how you say that? It's the wine.
Physical stage, I don't know, like fitness level that you can climb the stairs and do,
a physical level that I'm able to go on that trip and do the hikes and do, the crazy things that I like to do, in a way that I actually enjoy it, and not that I'm like dying, at the end of the hike or whatever. So thinking about what are the things that you want to do after the quarantine is over, and how you want to prepare for it. Like Manuel said, he bought a Speedo. So
he's ready for that trip.
He's ready. So that's his motivation. But, whatever it is, for me, it's being able to go on that trip and do the hikes and all of that and feel good and feel strong and energized. So, thinking about, some of those things, because those things are still going to happen. We have to keep also our, some positive and optimistic attitude, because it helps. So, yes, this might look really bad right now, and it might take some time, but we'll get through it, right? We will get through it. And once we get through it, our life is going to continue, and we have plans and things that we want to do and things that we want to enjoy. So thinking about that, right? And starting to do things that maybe will help you once the time comes. Because that's the thing. No matter the situation we're going through, time goes on, right?
Yes.
Time doesn't stop.
And also,
it's been 6 weeks already, or 7 weeks. I don't know.
I honestly, I lost track. But also during our, like, through this process, you can still find joy. Like, I used to work out indoors, like all my life. It was either dancing ballet or that doing it at a gym. It was always indoors. And this quarantine, at first we're going to the track, so we're exercising there. But now that it's closed, we're still doing exercise at home. Thank God we have a patio that we can go out. Not everyone has a patio that they can go and go outside. But it's also enjoying the little things throughout the journey, like just working out and hearing the birds and kind of like doing apps and looking at the sky. It's just kind of like a completely new journey that I'm also embracing and enjoying. And also when we are, for us that we're a family, when we go to a gym club, you cannot have kids there. So they're just going to the daycare. Now that we're doing the quarantine, it's kind of like a family workout. It's uniting us as a family. So even through this, you kind of like look at the positive things. Yeah, have that long-term goal in mind, but try to look at the positive things and be grateful about all this process, not only focusing on the bad thing.
Hashtag life is now.
Yeah.
Right. So still hashtag, I have to plug it in there. Hashtag life is now. And trying to find, even if, those little things that are happening now because in the midst of everything, there's always you can find something that brings you joy, right? Or you can create something that brings you joy. Sometimes we only say, oh, find things that bring you joy. And we forget that we can also create things that bring us joy, right? Be it, exercising, having goals, you achieve something. It could be, like you said, being outside and enjoying nature, creating art. There's a lot of people now baking and doing beautiful meals. And I'm like, geez, this is a lot of talent right there. People that have started to like draw or paint. So it's about either finding things that bring you joy, or also creating things that bring you joy and like sharing them with others. So Lisa, great stuff, lady. Mental health and physical health go hand in hand, especially now. Thanks for spreading the message and the love. Oh, thank you. Yes, I agree. That's why I wanted to do this, because even though there is a lot of messaging out there and a lot of great resources, thankfully, because of the technology, we have access to a lot of resources and a lot of tools. The truth is that it's never too much. I think that unfortunately, sometimes the bad news or the negative stuff can make more noise. And so that's why always the positive messaging has to, like, we cannot think like, oh, I said it once, or, there's a lot of people saying it, that's enough, because, the negative news and stuff make so much noise that you always have to be, hey, yes, but also yes, right? Bringing that, I don't know, encouragement, tips, and information that actually, those are things that are actually going to help us.
Yeah, especially we're all going through this, and sometimes we, like you mentioned, we focus only on the negative. But again, we have to also be grateful, and because we have health, we have a home, we have a body that we can use to exercise and do things, and that we have food in our table, where there's so many people that doesn't even have food. So I'm just saying, sometimes we just get so focused on the negative that we forget that we are lucky with all the positive things that we do have, and that we can use to be better.
Yeah, and she said, Nikki said,
not to feel alone.
Not to feel alone on all of this. Yes,
we're all going through this. All of us.
We're all going through this, and I get it. I mean, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, we're going through it, or just seeing that everybody is quarantined and all of that. But once you start actually talking to people and kind of like going a little bit deeper in some of these topics, like motivation, or anxiety and stuff like that, you are actually able to really feel maybe identified, or like she said, empathize with other people, and also share resources and share knowledge and tips and words of encouragement. We all have different strengths, and by connecting, we can, each of us can bring to each other different things that will help us, going through this together.
Yeah, so for people that I know that are here, if you need words of encouragement, especially through this time, or someone who reminds you of the importance of taking care of yourself and loving yourself, follow Wilmarie. And if you're looking for tips on how to stay healthy because you're on that vibe right now, you're trying to take the most out of this quarantine, feel free to follow me.
Yes. For people that maybe didn't join at the beginning, Darleen is let me see if I can say it right. Registered dietitian.
Yeah, good job.
And she has her own business, and she has had a lot of success with her clients. And so, if that's something that you think will be helpful for you right now, go ahead and follow her. Ask, and even if you, right now maybe don't want to commit to something like that,
she shares
a lot of good information on her social media. And so that's always just, good, positive vibes to get. That is not just like, hey, you're not doing enough, or, trying to make you feel bad, but things that are actually going to be helpful for you.
That is a great question, Nikki. What is the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist? So nutritionist is not as regulated as dietitians. So right now, depending on where they got the degree, nutritionist could be, someone can call themselves a nutritionist if they take like a 1 month course of like, oh, I'm a nutritionist. But to be a dietitian, you have to have a bachelor's degree in nutrition. You have to pass a board. You have to do 1 year of practice in all the different areas of the hospital, with kids, with adults, with like all types of nutrition. So actually we're the experts. We are in the nutrition field. So dietitians are also nutritionists, but the nutritionist, let's say that name is not as regulated as a dietitian. So anyone can say like, I'm a nutritionist. And right. They don't have the same preparation as dietitians do, especially RDs.
Mm-hmm. And you have a master in
clinical nutrition, so more nutrition.
More nutrition.
More nutrition.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, for those that didn't join before, the reason why I wanted Darleen to share this conversation with me and my followers and all of that is because not only she's my friend and I know her, but also as a professional, she's super passionate about this, super knowledgeable, super prepared, a lot of success with her clients, and she also lives this. Like, she lives and breathes nutrition and exercise and all of that with her family, with her baby, her husband is
Thank you, Nikki.
So her whole family is all about this. Sometimes I look at the videos that you post of your kid eating, and I'm like, oh my God, he's my spirit animal, because he's growing and he's being raised by you. He loves broccoli and all this veggies that I remember growing up. I would be like,
yeah, who wakes up in the morning? It's like, Mom, I want a sweet pepper. I want pepper.
Like, who says that as a kid? Darleen's kid, because this is what she does. So I that's why I wanted to bring you, because I know you're super knowledgeable. But not only that, but the way you communicate the information and all of that is from a place of kindness and understanding, and trying to meet the people where they're at, and not from a place of judgment or having those like crazy expectations that sometimes a lot of these people can put on
experience. Yeah. And thank you for sharing your story too, because like we all have experienced all these challenges through the quarantine, and also sharing all your journey and the difficulty of kind of like setting up your routine and how that changed with the quarantine, and how all the ups and downs of the health journey, which is true. That's what people don't see in the media, and they don't see outside. They just see like, oh, I was here before and now I'm here after. It's kind of like, no, but Yeah, but there is a journey through all that. It's not that easy, and there are days where you have good days, and there are days where you have bad days, and there are days where you're doing everything right, and you feel like I'm not having any progress. So it's not just here and there. So thank you for sharing all that and all your emotions, because like we all go through that, and especially when we're through this journey. So thank you.
Yeah. No, I think it's important because it's so easy to feel like we're the only ones that feel a certain way. And even though, we're unique, each of us, we're not that unique, right? In the sense that all of us feel very similarly in many areas. So, by sharing our experiences and how we feel and what things have helped us and all of that, it's a way of others to be like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very, I don't know, it's important to do that. If you feel like, if you feel that that's something that brings you value and that, you like to do. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me here, Wilmarie. It was really fun. And if you have any other life that involves nutrition and fitness, I will be more than happy to join you. Especially if there's wine. There has to be wine, so it has to be happy. Oh wow! I need to work on mine. Like,
what does that say about me?
Maybe I'm talking too much.
Let's say that's it, because we've been talking for an hour and 22 minutes. I know. You cannot get to Puerto Ricans on the IG Live. We're not
sorry, people.
We need to do like YouTube or something that is like, a marathon of us. You two look
Thank
so
you,
pretty.
Manuel. We love you.
I don't remember last time that I put makeup on. But I was like, it's Friday and I want to look pretty.
Same here. No, same here. That's why it's kind of like, they're all gone, but yeah. I had an excuse to get pretty.
Exactly.
So thank you.
That's another thing. Maybe that's another life to like how to take care of ourselves and motivation to like pamper ourselves and
how
all
we
that.
Can go from Altagracia to something more acceptable.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. I think, with the life is going, you both rock. Oh,
thank you, Anna. And thank you for staying and writing questions and participating. I appreciate all of you.
The live is going to be up for 24 hours, I think. I don't know how it works because we did too, but...
Yeah, so probably this is going to be the one that's going to be saved, though.
Oh, really?
I don't know, but we'll see.
All right. Well,